You have to really pay attention to some of these bridges because two lanes narrow down to one lane, but they have two-way traffic. The one car is supposed to stop and let the other car by. Hello and welcome to the Sailing My Magic channel. My name is Duke and I am solo sailing Magic, my 2015 Lagoon catamaran, around the world. At the moment I'm hiding out from the cyclone season in New Zealand. We'll be getting going again the end of April. And in the meantime, I'm exploring several of the historical places and wonderful landscapes in New Zealand. I'm going to cover 4 different buildings that originated before the Waitangi Treaty of 1840, which is also when the Basic Laws took effect. There is a river that empties into the local inlet, and the ocean inlet possible for the structure to act as a central storage depot for the CMS, that's Church Missionary Society, in the region. It provided storage for food and other items necessary and imported from overseas. The stone store was built between 1832 and 1836. It's New Zealand's oldest intact stone building. It's built with local basalt and Australian sandstone. The fact that it's on the shore of a protected inlet makes it perfect for shipping. Please click on like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and it really helps. There is a large dock area which would allow several boats to tie up at the same time. The building itself has 2 internal stories plus a 3rd story which is an attic with dormer windows. It's actually a much bigger building than it looks at first glance. Over the entrance it says 1833, which is probably when they got the first story done. The floor has a lot of basalt in it. It's a very common rock in the area. And the doorway is quite low. I had to duck to get under it. The store continues as a tourist store. One side has the more antique looking items in it, and it has the things that in part might have been found back in the 1800s, like honey wax, beeswax candles, a lot of those, grinding wheels, a lot of those. Besides the beeswax candles, there's several antique looking machines. I don't know if they're reproductions or not. That staircase goes up to a museum on the 2nd floor. A lot of barrels. Those definitely look like antique barrels. Like I said, that's the staircase going up. Up on the 2nd story, you've got some stone weapons and axes from the Maori. You've got some reproduction muskets. The windows have a lot of security on them. I'm told that some of the windows are original, and you got a good view across the interior of the downstairs there. Everything you can imagine is in the store. I saw one of the barrels has cut nails. Back before they made round nails, they would cut slivers off of a piece of bar stock. That was a mounted pig's head, of course, and several different things that I have no idea what they are. Some look like apothecary jars, and crystal serving sets. Some of these are nautical instruments from back in the day, probably reproductions. They look too shiny to be that old. Again, these are reproduction muskets here. Those are for sale. That's a wheat grinding mill. Again, that looks too new to, it must be a reproduction. Notice how thick the walls are that the windows are set in there. On the one side of the one wall that's in there, I think that used to be the kitchen because there was a fireplace in that corner, in that side. It's a smaller area. This building was used for many different things over the years. As I said, it was a storage area. It became an outright store. The Kemp family bought it, James Kemp. And the third floor is the attic area, just a lot of stuff stored up there, um, set up to look like antiques. So this is the Kerikeri mission station. There is a well there. That's marked as a wishing well. I think it may have been an actual usable well once upon a time. So this is the Kemp House. While the stone store is the oldest stone building, this is one of the oldest wooden buildings there. I'm also told that many of these windows are also original. I looked at them, they're puttied in. This is part of the garden that's there. And I understand that this garden was originally there. So this is the entrance to the Kemp house. You can see some of the furniture in the staircase. Kemp was the storekeeper, and this is the main bedroom. This is one of the children's bedrooms, and it has those strange little dolls on it. Some people find them very eerie. I think they're appropriate for the time. It's nice that a lot of the antiques are there for the Kemp house. You have to take your shoes off to go in so that you don't grind up, as I said, the oldest floorboards in the country. Little table and chairs, another little bed, probably a children's bed. Some more stuff stored. This was about one of the plants that's there. And behind the Kemp house, there's the Honey House, which is a cafe. I was trying to look that up to find out if that was an original building or how old it was, and really couldn't find anything. But it's a nice little cafe. There's a river that goes right beside this, but it's very shallow right now. Needs a lot of rain for that to pick up, but sometimes it gets very big. And there's a walking bridge that goes over it. It goes quite high. That's a goose down at the bottom there. It looks so far away, and you can see the rocks and stuff underneath, so you get an idea how clear the water is. But up on the bridge, you've got a great view going in one direction on the river, and then you turn around and you've got a great view of the Honey House and all the beautiful gardening in the area. Now, the one thing about New Zealand is it tends to get some rain, so stuff greens right up here. You get a lot of flowers and such. This is the back of the Kemp house. I saw these things are being used for planters. It looks like they were originally troughs of some sort. I think this is a mixed breed goose, but it's kind of a weird looking goose. So there's the stone store from a distance. You can see the chimney there for the area that I said was probably the kitchen, although I didn't see any kitchen stuff in there. But there's a pathway that goes through the garden and in behind the stone store and goes through the flowers and such. And you have a nice little opening and a gate here, goes underneath the tree. And across the street is the pathway going up to St. James Church. It's an Anglican church, and there's a sign there at the beginning of the path, and it has a thing that it says St. James Church at Kerikeri, First Church 1823, Second Church 1829, and Third Current Church 1878. Now the path is a little harder than it might look. It's got some odd steps in it. I think they just blocked it off and filled it with gravel. From on the path, you can see down towards the waterfront in a couple of places between the trees, which is kind of nice. Has some beautiful flowers along the way. Kind of a long hike to get up there. Now there's a way to come in the other side, but from the flat area, parking lot area, this is the way you go up. Again, you've got a good view from the other side, and it was noted that the railing was recently replaced with some help. And from there you go up to the gateway that leads to the church. Now currently you go around the gateway, and the church has some beautiful stained glass at this end of it. That's the end that's over the altar. and a very interesting graveyard in front here. Now, some of these stones are quite old and some are new. It's just me, but I tend to skip the newer ones. Um, but that says Alan Kemp there. So that was probably one of the Kemp family. That's the wife of James Kemp, is right there. So that's probably mother and children. Some of the older ones I had a hard time reading. Really, it's loving memory, but I couldn't see who. One of the stones here had been replaced with a modern stone for Maria Williams Kemp. The old stone is laid down in front of it, but it's still there. And these ones that are small and slanted like that, those tend to be modern stones. And there's, many of the local families here are buried together, which is nice. And some of the older ones are a little farther away. The first building of the Christian worship in New Zealand, erected in Kerikeri in 1824 on the slopes behind this church. But we told you the dates on that. Now this is inside this church. Has some very nice pews, some children's art in there, so it's currently being used. Got a pipe organ in the back. I always liked a real pipe organ. You feel it in your bones when a real pipe organ is playing. See a bit of the stained glass window in the rear by the pipe organ. And that's the stained glass window from the front, although the light is kind of blowing it out on the camera right now. It's not a huge church, but it is very nice. It's well kept. Some more of the cemetery grounds. A lot of these individual ones have bigger headstones on them. And I couldn't read every one of these headstones going along, but I think it's interesting just to see, like there, you've got a very grandiose headstone. And there you can tell it's a family. You've got the mother and children in a little squared off area. These are more modern ones here. Tends to be a lot of those. Of course, I'm sure there weren't as many people around back in the 1800s when this thing was first set up. I just think it's interesting to observe the styles and the care that some of them have and the simplicity of other ones. This gravestone is interesting because it has the last name of Edmonds. John and Marianne Edmonds and their 5 sons arrived from Dorset in 1834 to work on the Church Missionary Society. Edmonds was a stonemason sent to help out on the stone store. However, when he arrived, it was practically completed. He had bought 5 acres of land near the Kerikeri Inlet, and his family moved there to build this farmhouse and live in it. It was built in 3 different stages, but John fell ill, so he did not personally complete it. It was thought that his sons completed it, but they were not skilled masons like he was. Unfortunately, there was a fire and there are only ruins left. Please click on like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's totally free and it really helps me. But now it's time for the Sailor's Delight, a Sundowner. Have a great time.